Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe, Panther the Third.
Hello there, wrestling fans. To another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I'm Joe Panther the Third, and man, Ringside crew, welcome to another episode. And today, I have a gentleman that is absolutely killing it on all different forms of the wrestling world. Let's give a warm Dudes at Ringside return to the one and only Anthony Blackwell Jr. ABJ. Welcome back, dude. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be back on the show.
My crazy intro had to go a little overboard. Typical me. So, ABJ, what's going on, man? What have you been up to?
No, just making content, filming a whole bunch of stuff, and just working back on the wrestling scene. I took a little bit of a hiatus. Life kind of knocked me down a little bit, but we were able to bounce back. And what's going on, chat? And so I was able to kind of reestablish my life a little bit, get back on track, get my head back in the game, and just now back and rocking it out on the independent wrestling scene.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. So where have you been, like, within the wrestling world? Like, what wrestling promotions have you worked with since
recently, or just in total?
Just in total.
Oh man. So I started with PPW with my first ever company I worked for. I did backstage interviews, and then I get my commentary debut there. And then I was doing commentary at the Sanctuary in Hazleton. And then from there, there was a year where I put in so much. I was doing standalone wrestling. I was doing Pro Wrestling After Dark. I was doing IWA New Jersey. I did some AXW, some Outbreak Wrestling, Backbreakers Entertainment, High Tension Wrestling, Camp Leapfrog. Like I've done tons and tons of different companies. It's a lot. It was a lot. Now currently I'm working for High Tension Wrestling under the Wild LLC, and also with New Era Pro Wrestling. So they're my companies I rock with. And then I just did a benefit show yesterday. It was just a one-off promotion type thing. It was called Rumble for the Youth. That was kind of fun. It was a good time.
I saw a poster flying around the internet, the Instagram world. I call it the inner wrestling world, because it's like we're part of the Instagram, but it's also connected to Facebook. But it was like on Instagram on the stories. I kept scrolling people's stories. You ever done that? You're just like,
no.
Oh, that's nice, a puppy. No, look, there's a wrestling poster. That's me. I'm like, oh, puppy. No, there's a wrestling poster. Yeah, I
stay away from other. No, I'm gonna be honest. Social media is if not handled properly, can be a bad place, and you have to be careful what you give attention to on the internet, because your news feed will become that. And I just kind of disconnected. Like, I post my stuff on social media just to promote my stuff, and then I maybe like one or two things, and then I'm out of there. So I don't see a lot of people's social media. That's one facet of this content thing. If I can completely not have to do that, that would be great. I'm not a big social media fan.
Yeah, it's a thing. Like, I look on my main page on Japan the Third, I'll see parrots, cute dogs, the squirrels. Oh, that RIP to the squirrel on Instagram. That sad story. Too crazy story, but yeah. I'm looking at parrots, birds. Oh, then there's a wrestling poster. Oh, look, there's ABJ. But then there's a parrot again. Like, I stay away from bad stuff if the animals find me.
So you just look at a lot of birds?
Yeah, birds. Staring at birds a lot. Yeah. And girls, but birds too. those girls, you know.
My news feed is wrestling, horror movies, very attractive emo women and alt girls, and then back to pro wrestling. That's mostly what my news feed is.
And then it's funny, and then it goes to my co-host for Ghost Head Nerd Talk on the DJ booth. She's like, chicka, like she's scratching. And Rain, and my homie Rain, scratching on her DJ equipment every day. Everybody's gonna be like, but Joe, isn't that a separate universe of Joe? Those glasses.
Is that like a different style of content, or is she a DJ?
She's a DJ. She'll she'll post all her gigs. Like she'll post posters from her gigs. But I love that she actually posts her. Oh geez, I got that. Oh, I got that.
Yeah.
Oh man. I should have just got what's his name that going. Oh, right there.
Yeah, the way you described it wasn't. I had to make sure you were actually talking about DJs. Yeah.
Yeah, you see, Rain would have been in the chat going, Joe, did you forget about when you did this on the show? And I said, scissoring, Joe, scissoring.
There you go.
And she caught me. Oh,
yeah.
That you have to go back and watch that clip on the Ghost Head Nerd Talk page. It was just, because we were talking about the Squeeze-Its, like the ones that you take the top off, and it's kind of like,
the juices.
The juice. What was it? Juicy juice? What was that juice?
No, I think they were called Squeeze-Its. It was like a face on the bottle. And you take the top off and you kind of just crush it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
I did
90s,
this.
2000 thing.
I did this instead of like this. And she's like, Joe, that's scissoring. I was like, oh, my hands. Damn ADD.
Everybody loves the acclaimed.
Yeah.
I have a Scissor Me hat. It's like I'm staring at it right now. It's a pink hat and it says Scissor Me on it. Yep. And I have acclaimed scissors.
Oh, jeez. Best scissors
I'm like
ever.
a Gallagher over here.
Yeah. And then I get myself in trouble with two female hosts. As have my uncle has a machine downstairs, that like video game machine, Street Fighter machine. Okay. And he let me use it all the time. So it's my uncle's Street Fighter machine. So I'm clicking the knob and I'm like ging 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 ging. And the girls are just like, and I'm like, yeah. And then I went, oh my. Girls are like, you.
Busted.
Me. Oh my gosh. So, like, with everything going on in wrestling, just segue. With everything going on in wrestling right now, Anthony, like all the content, is it like crazy to think there's so much content within like different ways to watch like regular like the mainstay wrestling and the independent wrestling scene for you right now? Like you can go on like one app and watch PPW, you can go on another app and watch like WWE, and then TBS. I don't know if there's an app now to watch TBS content, but isn't it crazy now that there's so many different like pathways to watch everything?
I personally think this is the best time in history to watch professional wrestling. If you really break it down, even at the height of wrestling at any era, it wasn't as mainstream as it is today. And Mondays, literally every single day of the week, you can watch professional wrestling for the most part. And that's just mainstream wrestling, which is crazy to think about. So you have Mondays WWE, Tuesdays NXT, Wednesdays AEW, Thursdays you can either watch TNA or Impact Wrestling, whatever they're going by at that current month. Friday you're back to AEW and WWE. Saturday you're back to AEW, and then if there's not a pay-per-view on a Sunday, you can go to a wrestling show in your local town. It's unbelievable. There's so much to consume.
It almost makes me happy to think that when we lost everything because of COVID. Like, see, I
didn't lose wrestling during the pandemic. That's where I made my staple in professional wrestling. So I was doing a lot of like behind the scenes, closed circuit, private wrestling shows, and we were filming wrestling to put on the internet. And everything was done according to safety and COVID protocols and stuff. But like the pandemic for me was like the bright spot of professional wrestling, because it's where I cut my teeth. It's how I got good at production, how I good at I was able to wear so many different hats within professional wrestling. Like I don't think there's a role in professional wrestling that I haven't touched, at least like grazed or tried it. Like as someone who was just a content creator, who was just a fan of pro wrestling, talking in my kitchen with my friends, to say I've done a lot in the business is crazy. Like it's wild. And the pandemic was a huge time for me to do that.
I tried my best to do something, but like my old computer was slowly dying, and like it would go on. I'd be on the internet on Facebook, and then an hour later and then certain people wanted me to start shows with them, and I was like, I don't want to do it. And then people would get mad at me. I'm like, I can't do a show. And I would never told them till after my computer died on me. And I said, The reason why I couldn't start a show because my Mac was dying. Actively would be on for an hour and overheat and just shut off. And I had to wait the next day to even go on the internet. It was kind of odd. Oh, it's so odd. 2021. That's when the show started. Wish it was sooner. I would have been smarter. We could have started, but then I'd be on my cell phone like, "Hey world," like staring into
gotta
myself.
do sometimes, you know. It's you just gotta work with what you have, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy. So going into your show, so is it? What does it feel like now? Like I'm a solo act now too. So what does it now feel like to be from doing what you did, the Tornado Tag? That's the last time you were on the show. You were part of the Tornado Tag podcast. What does it feel like now to do things on your own other than having to work with other people?
So I'm really only on my own now when it comes to like the interview aspect. Not Cool in high school I do solo stuff with, and the horror stuff I'll still do solo with. Banging Beers I pretty much do solo until I can get with a friend of mine and we might do some stuff together. But Tornado Tag has never been a solo thing, even after, you know, some of the members left. It's always been me and Brian, BP Burke. And then we just added Lily to the team. So I have a 3-person team with Tornado Tag. And then I brought back Truth Behind Illusion with Lily, but I'm definitely still, I think the difference is I have started to do solo work after I kind of rebranded and started over the ABJ podcast, where everything was a team and it was a lot of people at the table and there was a whole bunch of people there. And it was just hard to get everyone's schedules on point. And then it was also hard to get everybody to take it as seriously as I was taking it, because I wanted it to become something, and everybody, and there's nothing wrong with this. Like I'm not mad at anybody or I dislike anybody, but to them it was, they wanted to come hang out, sit in front of some microphones and just talk about stuff they're interested in. And to me, I paid for every microphone on the table, the lights, the production, the behind the scenes programs to edit and produce it and do everything. And then I'm producing, editing, running all the social media, doing all that work. And then it was just kind of like, I just couldn't do it with a big team, and also try to, like, when opportunities were arising, I was trying to get 4-5 people in the door. And then sometimes they wanted to bring their significant others. And then it was like, hey, you know, my podcast now, you guys invited us to want to come drink some beers. And I have 7 people who want to show up. And you know what I mean? It's a lot easier to get into places without a bigger crew, you know? And everyone did such an amazing job, and I learned so much in those times making the content with them. But yeah, there's more, I guess, me pushing myself as the name of the brand with the ABJ podcast instead of being like Tornado Tag. All those shows still exist, but it's under the ABJ podcast banner.
That's awesome. I'm so proud of you, dude. All the stuff you've been doing and the way you came back. I was worried you weren't coming back because I kept asking people, is he okay?
There was a moment I wasn't sure where I was gonna live. Like that was a real thing. Like, no car, no job. I had to move back home. Luckily, I was able to do that. I'm very fortunate. But yeah, there was a time there I didn't know what the future was for me. Like I was at rock bottom. I was, you know, I'm a grown ass man, and I had nothing to my name for the most part, except podcast equipment. Like, I didn't have internet, I didn't have any of that, but I had all my equipment. And yeah, it was a tough ride for a while there.
So, like, let's go into let's talk about who you've been interviewed. Like, you've been interviewing. It doesn't only have to be wrestling. You can talk about everybody you've interviewed.
Yeah, so I've been interviewing a lot of drag queens. I think I'll say drag performers, because wrestling, just like wrestling, where there's different styles and there's heels and baby faces and tweeners and all these different roles, our characters, our stables, or however you want to say it in wrestling. Well, the drag community has that. Well, there's drag performers, there's drag queens, drag kings, monsters. There's a whole bunch in that genre, and I've been learning about it because it was something that was all over the internet and all over the news about, you know, these performers are bad and we should ban them and we should pass legislation so they can't perform their art. And I was like, is it that bad? I want to go and see what it's about. And I went to some shows and I had an absolute blast. As a pro wrestling fan, it is pro wrestling. It's pro wrestling, except instead of fighting, they dance. You know what I mean? But they're taking bumps, they're throwing themselves on the ground, they're performing, they're creating characters, they're wearing makeup, they're wearing costumes. It's pro wrestling, and it's a really cool industry. And I've been interviewing a lot of people in that world to learn more about them. Musicians, been interviewing a lot of musicians. I did do an interview. I have all my content that I've recorded that's going to air from now to whenever is all available on my channel. It's just under like a pay restriction until it becomes public for everybody. And then once it becomes public, then it's there for everybody. So like I don't hide anything that you'll never see behind paywall, but I do have things timed exclusive, if that makes sense. But I have an interview that's going to be coming out very soon. I believe it drops in November. Actually, no, I think it drops in December. It's with Eddie Reyes, who is the original guitar player and founding father of Taking Back Sunday, which was a really cool band for me. I really liked them. And he was part of another band with some friends. And then he reached out and he was like, I like your content. I like what you're doing. And to have someone that has made art that has been so influential on me as a listener. Like, I love that band. That band has songs that I can sing word for word, and I'll go to a bar with a bunch of my friends and that song will come on and the entire bar's singing it. And then you're like, you like that band? I like that band. And then friendships have developed because of this style of music and these people. And his band was the forefront of that. So like, he's solely responsible for a lot of my friendships and a lot of my connections and a bonding experience for people at wrestling shows of talking emo music, you know, and going to emo shows and finding more people that are like-minded. And he's huge for that for me. And for him to say he likes my art as much as I like his, it's maybe not the same, but I have never sold out an arena, but it was cool. And I got to interview him, and hearing his story was a really cool time. And then obviously he's a huge pro wrestling fan as well as horror movies. So we had a lot in common. You got to meet one of your heroes who you idolized, and you realized that he's just an everyday Joe like you who likes horror movies, pro wrestling, and music.
That's awesome. So if my fans want to give you a nice subscribe, how can they find your channel?
Anthony Blackwell Jr. on all social media, or ABJ, but you should pop up ABJ Podcast. Like I said, I do beer reviews, I do movie reviews, well, pop culture reviews, but mostly movies, horror movie reviews. Sometimes we'll do like snacks and treats and special edition candy that comes out. We have one of those coming out very soon. Truth Behind Illusion just dropped. That's like a paranormal show. We talk like cryptids, ghost stories, maybe a little witchcraft or different things in religion. Just things that are kind of in that realm of spooky or paranormal or make you think. I have the ABJ Podcast where I interview people. I do Tornado Tag, which is live every Tuesday night at 7:00, and that's where me, BP, and Lily break down old school wrestling stuff, where we just did like the episode on the Freebirds, or we did the history of Halloween Havoc, or we just find these old school topics. But we're going to be adding more to Tornado Tag, so that's going to be my workhorse style show. Me and myself and Lily are going to be doing this, and the reason we kind of made the team Freebird team is BP's not always available to record, but me and Lily, we know there's a demand for us to talk, or for people that want to talk more modern day current wrestling. I go on a lot of other people's shows to talk that, but I want to start adding that to my repertoire. So we'll have some post Raw, post SmackDown shows, or maybe do like a weekly recap of what happened in wrestling, and it'll be myself and Lily talking about modern day wrestling.
That's awesome, man. Like, I don't know. It's a thing nowadays. Like, everybody has their own content. I find that so cool that now YouTube is not, you could find all different types of things on YouTube, from wrestling podcasts to porn podcasts to stuff about people that do trans. There's murder mystery podcasts. Like, when I work, I told people I feel bad doing this. People that don't like watching wrestling, I tell them, well, I do a pro wrestling podcast, and they're like, I don't watch pro wrestling. I'm like, oh, I watch murder mystery, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I'm like, that's kind of like, but it's not about murder mystery, but I'm like, some of that stuff could be staged because they talk about it. So it's kind of like you're building up a story. So it's kind of like wrestling.
Everything's fake. Everything's fake. And if it's not fake, they add to it to make it more interesting, which they embellish, which is also faking it. So most of the stuff you're consuming on television, if your hang up in pro wrestling is I don't want to watch it because it's not real, I want to hate to break it to you, 90% of what you're watching is fake. And most of the celebrities and famous people you support are all fake too. I'll promise
Oh
you
yeah.
that.
Oh
I
yeah.
promise. I've met a lot of people.
Oh yeah. I was just
Who they
like,
are on camera and who they are off camera are two different people.
like I was like, I see all these people, and I'm like, I told that girl, it's kind of staged. She's like, what do you mean it's all staged? I'm like, they're talking about they're building you up and they're bringing you in to watch the next episode. That's called wrestling. To be there for the next show.
Yeah, they want you to watch part 2 of this docu-series, so they leave you on a cliffhanger so you come back. That's Monday Night Raw during the 2000s in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Did Val Venus get his wiener cut off? I don't know. Tune in next week.
Yeah, there you go. Ooh, yeah, that's another segue. And I gotta watch the last episode, but what did you think of the Vince McMahon series on Netflix?
I wasn't really surprised with any of it. As someone who goes back and rewatches a lot of old school stuff and kind of dives into that, I've known Vince has been a horrible human for a very long time. And also like I've been very, and I'm not saying that like every single person I've ever worked with told me dirt, but some have, and some people told me what it's like backstage, and I've heard stories and I've heard rumors of people who used to work at WWE or adjacent with WWE, and some of the stuff that they've heard and some of the stuff they've seen, and it like I'm not saying I'm anti WWE, but there's been a while where I have a hard time supporting that company. I love the roster, I love the people who work there, but what that company stands for and what it stands on and things they've done behind the scenes are really dirty and scummy, and it borderlines on racism and homophobia and transphobia and just a really bad things. And it's hard for me to like fully love WWE the same way I used to as a kid because it kind of got gross. But everyone kind of like hangs on AEW like, oh, well, they had a fight backstage and that's why this company's so bad. And I'm like, homeboy, have you read the Vince McMahon the document that was released, what he was doing to women in his office? It's way worse than CM Punk choking, putting what's his name in a headlock, I promise you. And it's and honestly, like that aspect of wrestling and the entertainment industry is the hardest part for me, is being an interview and a journalist and hearing stories that not every time, most of the information I get, and maybe it's stupid of me not to have that on recording, but not everything is for the public yet. You know what I mean? Like it's not everyone's story to tell. And when you learn about certain stuff like that in the wrestling industry or the entertainment industry, it's sad. It's sad how they crush a lot of dreams because it's just a giant system of you have to do things or say things or go about ways a certain way to hit your goals and hit your dreams, and not all those things are morally ethical.
Yeah, it's just funny. My twin sister Sassy, she called me randomly one day and she asked me this. So what do you think about Vince McMahon as a human? I'm like, scum. She just started laughing and she was on the phone. She was like, yep. And I told the girl next to her, I gotta go, Randy. I told you my brother would feel, and she hangs up the phone, dying laughing when she did that.
It's horrible.
Yeah. So
bad person.
Yeah. So with you being a podcaster, let's flip the roles right now. Do you have any questions for me, Mr. Blackwell?
Yeah. So what is your overall goal as a content creator?
My overall goal, like everybody has that dream. I've been doing this now for 8 years, and I would love to see it. I would love to have somebody for like a radio station, like not a big high end like Z100, like someone from my local station if they want to grab me to do sports, because I'm a big baseball fan, I'm a big football fan. I would love to be like their beat reporter and be able to talk about sports without being told, okay, Joe, we're done. I know how to keep a script. I'm not going to be like, and man, like if there's a radio station, a local station that wants to cover wrestling, I doubt they would, but to be able to do like a spot. Okay, this week there was an indie show in Slatington, Pennsylvania, and they had a really good show. You should go out and check them out. You know what I mean? Like maybe like have me do like a short segment about professional wrestling. And
so you mostly want to talk about things, right?
Yeah.
Then why put so much stress and hardship on yourself doing interviews?
I don't know. I just love I love hearing people's stories, and I like hearing their rise in their own world of wrestling, and I like to see it through their lens and be able to watch them go through everything they've gone through and just continue for what I have had and just keep marching on, because I feel like this is not about me. It's never about me, this podcast. It's
Mhm.
always about the wrestler
Interesting.
and watching their progression in the wrestling career, in wrestling saga, like this big wrestling globe. I like to watch it just grow around me. You know what I mean?
So how do you get to learning about your like when you book a guest, how much research do you do on them to ask questions and prep them and hear their story?
I go through like, if they have a link tree, I'll go on their YouTube channel. I'll watch like 3 matches, two maybe 3. If it's a really good wrestler, I'll watch like 3 or 4. I'll go on their Instagram. I'll go watch and see who they're wrestling, and then I'll try to toss that into, if they're in a rivalry, I'll toss that into the interview and see if they want to talk about it. I'll ask them before the show, do you want to talk about this interview, this wrestler in particular that you're about to fight or wrestle? But sometimes I go on the whim and I'm like, okay, we're going to talk about this match you're about to do. What do you think? In the middle of the interview. If they don't want to talk about it, they can, next question. And they hit me with the heel. Hit me with their high heel. Next question. You know?
Gotcha. That's all I got, brother.
Oh, okay. Wow. I'm a huge nerd. So have you been watching any of the awesome movies that's been out lately? Like, did you see Frozen Empire?
No, I have not seen Frozen Empire yet. I watched Wolverine and Deadpool. I watched that, and I watched Beetlejuice. And I think when it comes to newer movies, that's about it. It's been really, like, that's been my only thing I've been hanging up on, is like I haven't been really consuming a lot of new movies. It's still something I'm trying to break for myself. Like, for a while there, I was very obsessed with watching movies and media and television, and I'm kind of at a point where I just, if I have time and I'm not sitting at my computer desk and I'm not doing content and I'm not editing and I'm not booking and I'm not doing everything that this consumes of, I'm also trying to, live life, get ready for shows, prep for shows, and then working a normal 9-to-5 job. So it's just been hard for me to consume like video games or watching TV or movies. And that's where I have to find time to place those in.
I get that. I have, as I told you before, I work in a senior home, and it's sometimes I work in the morning. So if I'm doing an interview now at 8, as soon as I get done with this, I'll push end stream. I immediately talking to the guys. Thank you. It was so much fun. I'll send you the clips. I'll go in, get the audio, pop it, wait for it loads. Usually takes a few minutes. I'll take it, drag it to my thing, go back in the StreamYard, go to the clips, see how many clips. I'll let the clips load to the next day. Go into Spotify, load the episode from today, and then take the pole off, throw it in the wash, and go right to bed. Wake up at 5:23, get up to go to work, and just get my real life on. Just put the scrubs on and do my thing and make my residents smile.
I love that.
Smile. Like the Joker would say, gotta put a smile on that face. How'd you get them scars, Joe? No, don't hit him with the Joker. Yeah, it's something to work now with like senior citizens up there. When I worked in a grocery store, I remember back in the day, I think I was still working in the grocery store I worked in the last time he came on the show.
It's very possible, yeah.
And everybody always asks me, oh, this and that, because you worked in the grocery store. And I was like, you all don't understand. I went from doing trucks. Why so serious? Yay, so serious. Doing a complete truck by myself to now working in a dining room, cleaning tables and making residents happy, giving them desserts, giving them their lunches or dinners and breakfasts. It's like a completely different world. That's what I kind of try to tell people in my kitchen, and they don't get it. I'm like, no one gets it. We went from a grocery store for 5 years to be in a senior living home. It's kind of like different The apples and oranges, and I serve those too. Gotta paint a pretty little flower. Yeah. Yeah, it's something. It's just like I love this content so much that it's just like I try not to push it so much with I want to promote my what I'm doing, but I don't want to overly push it to the point that if there's people that don't like wrestling and they're like, "Oh, what do you do, Joe?" And I'm like, "Oh, I do a pro wrestling podcast." I know the face when I know to stop. Not bug them because I say, "Oh, I do pro wrestling," and they go, I'm like, "All right, yeah, okay," and then I stop.
Not me. I get that face. I push. I'm like, what's the face for? Why don't you like wrestling? Are you above wrestling? And they're like, yeah. And then when they talk about it, I'm like, well, what are you into? Oh, I like Marvel movies. You know, they're all fake, right? You know, Iron Man's not a real person. You know, he really doesn't fight Captain America. You know, that's all scripted, right? Because I don't know. I could, like if you tell someone something you're passionate about and something you love, and they just kind of make a face or try to diminish what you are, or it makes you uncomfortable to be proud about something. No, I don't let people off the hook that easy. Like, we're gonna have a conversation about it now, and I'm gonna be that annoying wrestling fan now, because you could have just been like, oh, that's really not for me, but I think your content should be great. But then for you to just cold snub me or like make fun of what I'm into, all right, cool. Tell me what you like, because I'm very versatile and I can trash your life too. You know what I mean? Like, I have no problem. Listen, I'm a great heel, you know, because every great heel has a little bit embedded in them, you know.
Yeah, I was always taught as a kid because I'm with my ADD and being like the little brother, little disabled brother. Now as an adult, I was always told by my parents, if you're talking and you can hear your own voice, you need to stop. The room is not your room.
Yeah, I grew up ADHD too, and I was made to feel lesser than, or not welcomed, or what I was interested in wasn't cool enough, and it ruined me, because I had to live a life to make everybody else comfortable with the way I was as a person, and I chose not to do that anymore. Like, I have as much place in this world as anybody else, and we're all just specks on a tiny little globe, and if your goal is to diminish me or who I am because of my personality, then I'm not going to change who I am for you, because I was the same way. I was raised to like, oh, you're too much, you're too hyperactive, you talk too much, you're this, you're that, and it's like, cool. Well, now look at me. This is what I do now for a living. I talk to people. I problem solve. I listen. I make content. And you're growing up with no dreams or goals, and if you did, you gave up on them when you were very young. And I choose to keep my dreams alive and pushing for them. So don't let people diminish you because you like to have conversations.
I try to explain that to the people I work with. I'm like, you know, and they all know I do a podcast, and one of the guy kind of like doesn't diminish me, but he liked to give me nicknames, and he's like, "Oh, Podcast Joe." And I was like, "Yeah, I podcast."
I'd be like, "What are you known for? You're an old guy in a nursing home. Are you like, Sweet Potato Bill? At least I have a hobby." You go home, watch Fox News, and probably hate your life.
I'm like, I'm internationally known. What are you? That's what I told him. I'm internationally known. What are you? I have the globe in my hand. I have the.
Yeah, like, listen, like, and that's cool to say. Like, I because of my content, I've made friends in other countries. That's cool to do too. You know, like, you stay humble, right? You're humble about what you've accomplished and what you've done, but also, like, don't let someone feel lesser than because they're not into what you do.
Yeah. It's funny. I could open my drawer, and I wrestlers usually send me T-shirts and everything, and I have like these T-shirts.
Cool.
I
would have saved a lot of money with all the T-shirts I paid for.
I have like 12. I have like 13, or I think 12 or 13 T-shirts. My drawer's not open. I think I remember back in the day I told you all my shirts are right here. So if I had to take off a shirt, I could just look up and say, who do I want? Oh, I got PFN Wrestling from Smash. I'm looking at it right now. It's not even folded. It's hanging out. Got Alfie from England, which was my very first British wrestler that ever sent me a T-shirt in the mail back in the day. She was like, I said, I'm going to send you a sticker. And she's like, I'll send you a T-shirt. And I'm just like, I wrote T-shirt for a sticker, ? Emoji like this. And then I went, oh, never mind. So sorry. Yes, send me your address. And we took the addresses. I wear the T-shirt every once in a while. People are like, cool, Alfie. I'm like, oh, she's a British wrestler. And they're like, did you buy her t-shirt because you liked her shirt? No, she sent it to me. They're like, but you're in America. Yeah, I'm in America.
Yeah.
Now she's a good wrestler.
I
Really,
probably have over 1,000 t-shirts, and that's not even a made up number. I probably have about 1,000 t-shirts.
Wow.
Yeah,
But it's funny when I get t-shirts in the mail. My mom's like, "Who's this now?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's but my mom. She goes, "Let me see it," and I'm like, "Oh, cool." I had one from Jersey's female that owns a promotion, and she's a manager in the promotion, and it says "Praise Me" on the shirt. And my mom's like, at the program you go to on Fridays, you can't wear that t-shirt because there's a religious guy that's the driver, and he's gonna go. I'm like, Mom, I'd wear it even harder. I know, yes.
I wear my heart on my sleeve.
I'd laugh. I'd be like, I can wear it. It's not like he's not a coordinator. He's just
my job's not to make you comfortable in life. I like what I like, and if you're not into it, then either have a conversation with me like an adult or leave me alone.
Yeah, pretty much.
All my t-shirts are band t-shirts, are Blackcraft t-shirts where they're maybe making statements. Horror movie t-shirts. If you don't like who I am, then hit the road, Jack.
Yeah. There's a few wrestlers I think that if you get into interviewing a lot of wrestlers for next year, Anthony, you should definitely.
I've interviewed a few wrestlers, yeah.
Kiara, yeah. You should try to interview Kiara from England. She's a really good wrestler. She was like my very first British wrestler I ever had on the podcast back in the day. Actually, the Dynamite Kid's daughter. Yes, that was a good interview. She came on and
she wrestles.
She's a manager. She's a manager now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know, a professional wrestler on the scene right now is obsessed with Dynamite Kid. Has Dynamite Kid's book, I believe, right? He wrote a book, I think. But like, has like really studies Dynamite Kid. Masha Slamovich. Masha Slamovich is a big Dynamite Kid fan.
Wow. Mm-hmm. She was a former guest too from back in the day.
She's now the current TNA Women's Champion.
Yeah, she's doing a lot. Every time I get her once in a while, I'll go in her chat and I'll go, "Wow, so awesome! Keep up the great work." And she'll put a heart by my comment.
Look at you.
Yes, look at you. Look at me.
Look at you. You did it.
I gotta find that meme. Whenever I see something good, I'm gonna go, look at us. Look at us. Look at us.
Look at us doing things, talking to microphones.
Yes, talking about wrestling. Yeah. So, Anthony, other than when you go to your shows, I've been doing this a lot lately. After the show, where is that local place you go to eat? Is there anywhere particularly like that Anthony has to go eat? He's hungry. He has that hungry belly. Where does Anthony go to eat?
So living the life of a struggling artist, I have to take certain jobs that sometimes don't pay as well, or my money goes to traveling and doing that. And this content's not really paying the bills. So a lot of my extra money goes to keeping this podcast alive. And then just kind of like getting by in life and getting caught up for where I was in the hole for a while. So there's times where I go to shows and I just wait till I get home to eat because it's cheaper that way. And I come home and eat a bowl of cereal because I barely had enough gas to make it to the show. And I hope that I get paid for commentary so I can make it home. That's a true story. There's been times where I was driving to shows and I was like, this is going to be tight. This is going to be a close one. So yeah, I'm very upfront. I'm very struggling right now. So there's times where I don't eat at shows or, to keep it even more of a buck, I went to WrestleMania weekend with not $1 in my pocket, stayed in an Airbnb that someone paid for me and didn't eat for 2 days because I didn't have money for food, but I was there to make content. I was there to get an opportunity. I was there to make a moment. I got really good interviews. I did one of the coolest commentary shows of my life. And I went home and I ate on a Sunday watching WrestleMania and didn't eat probably Friday and Saturday. because I just didn't have it like that. So like when people tell me like they're chasing their dreams and they're doing their stuff, it's like, are you willing to go to that? Like, maybe it's not smart that I'm doing this, but like that's where I'm willing to go. Like, is that where you are? You know what I mean? But if I did have money or if I had a good payday, I'm a Wawa guy. I like Wawa food, Sheets if it's available, I guess. But that's essentially where I'm at, because most of the time a show happens. Say the show starts at 6. I get there for 2:00. I set up commentary. I help set up the show. I get with everybody. I take notes. I mingle. I do my thing. The show happens, and then after the show, I break everything down, make sure everybody's good, and I'm not leaving a show until 10, 11 o'clock at night. So sometimes a lot of stuff isn't open, so gas stations are the way to go. But yeah, if I don't have enough money for actual food, it's usually a Slim Jim and a peach Red Bull is my car ride home snack. But I've been drinking a lot of Prime, so I'm trying to stay hydrated. I think the Primes taste pretty good. I think they're all right.
I was talking to I was like watching on Instagram. There was a female content creator. She does like the raw reaction show, and she was like, she tried to get into Prime and get sponsored by Prime, and she's like, they have too many people on the list, they can't get to her right now. And then she jokingly looked in the camera. Too many. She read it the way she wanted to read it. She's like, we have too many young kids that want to be sponsored by Prime doing nothing. And she shook her head. I was like, oh my gosh, don't read it like that. Don't read it like that. Don't read it like that. No.
I'm trying to think, who would I want to be sponsored by so I can drink their product all the time? Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper
cream.
You
stole mine. Damn it.
Dr. Pepper cream soda is my favorite soda. You can only get it when you make it in the custom machines, but Peach Mellow Yellow is another one of my faves.
Peach Mellow Yellow, what?
It's really good. So when you go to Burger King and you do like the special machine where you can add flavors, you get the Mellow Yellow, and you click Peach, and you're good to go. That's the greatest soda.
Do you sing the song from the Super Mario song when you push the button?
No.
Peaches, 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 peaches.
Peach is my favorite flavor. Like I like peach rings, peach candy, peach iced tea. Peach iced tea is probably my favorite. Snapple peach iced tea, peach iced tea, really good stuff.
So now I know when I go to come to a PPW show, I usually don't get myself snacks. We stop at like the Wawa to get like gas. So now I know if you're gonna be there, I'm gonna be like, just gonna get 2 peaches. Be like, Anthony, Thoma.
Yeah. Italian BMT, no onion, and a peach iced tea, and we'll be good. You know.
What do you mean onions on a BMT? BMT. I think you said
no,
BLT?
like an Italian BLT,
okay.
Yeah. Or you can just don't do BLT and just do an Italian sandwich with no onion.
I'm Puerto Rican.
No onion, no pepper.
Thoma, wepa. Oh, you with the wepa.
How do you feel about Donald Trump's rally and what all the stuff they said about Puerto Rico? Are you a fan?
Not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of what he said. I have my Puerto Rican family. They are, if you could throw a thermometer in the Retiguez family, I'm breaking kayfabe again. Zipping my real last name, throwing the Reteguiz into a thermometer to the Retiguez bubble. The one side that I'm on with my mom and dad and my uncle, it would be over the brim. The thermometer would be like, woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pissed.
Yeah. I think the worst part about it for me is Yingling beer too. Good call. Chetty. Give me some Chetties. But not everyone can get Chetties. They can only get them around here. But yeah, I think my biggest problem is with it is that they booked him knowing who he was and what he does and the style of comic he is. Like, I'm not really mad at him for saying it. That's the style of comedy he does, and that's what he's famous for, and that's why he got hired to do the job. But to hire the guy and then make him cut out certain jokes, but leave certain jokes in and put them into a teleprompter and know everything that's going to go down that day. And then all of your people go up there and spit hatred and rhetoric and division and separation and borderline racism. But when you call them out on, they're like, I didn't mean it like that. And then bring up a comic who just essentially puts a mirror in front of your face. And then you act like you didn't know that comic was going to do or say that. I think you're a coward and you're an idiot for booking the guy. Because I don't think you booked him without knowing anything. but you
Yeah.
just you weren't expecting to get that much negative heat about it. And then it lost you voters and now you're scrambling. So just be about your business. Say what you mean.
Yeah. I just think it was bad.
I think it's more offensive that Donald Trump refused to send aid to Puerto Rico when they needed it, and then tried to trade them for Greenland. they tried to sell Puerto Rico to another nation. Like, did you know that was a thing?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Donald Trump tried to sell Puerto Rico. Look into it; it's a true thing. He tried to trade Puerto Rico for Greenland.
Huh. Wow.
So Puerto Ricans would not have been American citizens if it was up to Donald Trump and he got what he wanted.
Wow.
I think that's more offensive than booking a comedian who's a comedian. But not everybody who follows politics actually follows politics.
In my house, it's like my dad's on Instagram watching videos, and my mom, we have CBS on because we don't have cable. We just watch apps. So like we're watching CBS News and stuff like that. And just it's Tuesday, and I'm like, gosh, you gotta get up early, be on that line. I may not do laundry that day. Just let me going to do the it's gonna be an interesting couple of 2 days. So just yeah. You said you don't really play the video games that much, Anthony. But
I mean, I play. I just don't play as much as I want to.
So, what games are you like? Are you into sports? Are you into like wrestling games?
I play a lot of first-person shooters. So I play Fortnite and Call of Duty the most because it's easy just to turn on, play a game or two, and turn off. I don't have to get invested. But I am going to start doing more game streams on my channel. Myself and Lily, we started doing the Quarry. I think we're like 2 episodes in, so we have to do that eventually soon. It just, unfortunately, this entire month of November is just every weekend is like a wrestling show or something going on that we're going to do. So it's just hard to get a day into stream, and then we're both just started new jobs where we're still kind of getting used to like getting off of work and how can we add content in after a work day. So once we kind of settle in this month and kind of dial into what we want, you'll be seeing a lot more video game streams coming to the channel.
That's awesome. Like, it's funny you said sponsors. You know, I would definitely love to be either sponsored. Spanish. Well, I am Spanish. Pepsi, Cherry Pepsi would be one of my sponsors.
Oh, we're back here.
What's that?
I said I was wondering where you were going with this. Like, oh, we're back to drinks. All right.
Yeah, no, I guess you mentioned the drinks. I forgot to mention mine. Cherry Pepsi or Cherry Coke because I liked it, or Puerto Rican rum.
Puerto Rican rum, gotcha.
The Puerto Rican rum, oh yeah. Joe with the drink. Joe's interviewing, going, hold on. Okay, getting a little nervous. Drinking. So yeah, for me, I haven't played in a while. I haven't got the new SmackDown game, so I've been playing 20.
I like that you I like how you still call it the SmackDown game. Because they were the SmackDown versus Raws for a while.
Yeah. I actually
they've been 2K for like 15 years, and I love how you still refer to it as SmackDown.
Just call it SmackDown. I'm like, I gotta make a video.
I'm a huge fan of No Mercy. No Mercy 2024. I mean, you're still calling them old school.
I gotta make a video of just my shelf. I have like from the other game all the way up to the new one. All in my whole shelf. I have it all in a row. Like every
I have the original SmackDown 2, SmackDown Just Bring It. I have all of them.
I have it somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I know I need to move my rack, and I'm gonna make the TikTok. I have $1,000 in credit card debt. Like just with the SmackDown games. Luckily, I pre-ordered all those games, and I just had to give them like $3 or $4. I pretty much did. Most stores don't let you. I don't know if you know this. When you pre-order games at like GameStop, they really don't let you put all the money down. And I know why, because my friend Tom, it was bad. It was so bad. He may not remember this. He put all the money down for one of the SmackDown games. He got to the store and they told him, sorry, we sold your copy. It's gone. We can't do anything for you.
I'm like, you're gonna give me my money back. That's what we're.
Oh yeah, that's what he said, and they're like, oh well. And they're like, well. We're not talking about well. But we're not talking about butts, sir.
Yeah, I don't mess with GameStop anymore. I buy all my games digitally, so I don't have to worry about trading them in and not getting their value again.
Yeah. I'm starting to think I need to do that because I know one day that the PlayStation, whenever I get to the PlayStation 5 one day, they're all going to go me, well, we're not doing discs anymore. You're going to have to get the digital copy.
I've been buying digital games since Xbox 360, and when I turn on my Xbox, my library says I have over 500 games. So I
Oh my
feel very trusted in Xbox that if all my investment in games is going to be there for quite some time.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. So, other than wrestling, do you have any other passions with anything else but then wrestling? I know you do a lot of wrestling stuff, but you said video games.
Yeah, I mean, I love all things pop culture. So I like watching movies and television shows and learning about new things, trying new things. So I'm always trying to find something new to like watch or listen to. I love music. I can't play instruments. I can't wrestle. I can't do that aspect, but I love to consume and learn. So I'm always trying to learn new things. So I like that. I really enjoy craft beer. So I like to go and try different beers and go to different breweries and that whole environment and scene is a lot of fun. Anything craft related, like obviously it could be craft beer, craft spirits, craft soda. Like when small companies are making small businesses, I like going and supporting small business as much as I possibly can. I know I'm still a shrill when I go to like Wawa and Sheets, but like at 3 a.m, there's not really places to eat at a wrestling show. But yeah, I like that entertainment stuff. I love learning about like paranormal, spooky. That's a cool thing for me. I love horror movies. I'm a big horror movie guy. Trying to think what else am I into? Trivia. I host open mics and trivia sometimes, so I do stuff like that. I'm just always trying to consume or learn or have conversations with people. So essentially the podcast is just an extension of who I am and what I'm into, and I think that's why it comes off effortless. I think a lot of people look at what I do and just be like, oh, this guy's winging it and he's not prepping. I am, but it doesn't take a lot of prep to just be naturally yourself on what you're interested about and just translate that to my content.
Lily's like your script writer. She's just like has like the prompter. It's like she's like I can look in the chat like entertainment, trivia. It's just like, did she write your script for you? She's like, I'll keep you on task, buddy.
No, Lily's she's just always been insanely supportive. Like, not
cool.
just a great partner, but actually like watches and critiques my content and tells me where I'm good and what I'm bad and what things I should work on and things that actually interest her. And she's very good. She's been always just amazing feedback about what I do and how I can better myself doing it.
Thank you for coming in the chat, Lily.
Yeah. It's very helpful to have someone tell you when you suck. You know what I mean? You need people in your life like that because too many people don't realize they suck, and sometimes they have to work on things, you know. And I have a good people around me that keep me humble and keep me grounded.
Well, yeah, you saw my pop. Did you ever see my grandfather's pop? My grandbrother Jose Quinones yet?
Nice.
A girl from North Carolina that was actually in the chat a little bit ago. I don't know if she's still there, but she's a really awesome artist. She's so sweet. She actually asked, "Can I do you as a pop?" And I was like, "Yeah." There you go. That's the girl that did the art.
I honestly I would know the best way to make a pop, an ABJ pop.
I guess maybe put the hat backwards, put a little scruffy
just
beard.
Buy a Kevin Smith pop and just change the hockey jersey to a wrestling shirt. That's all you'd have to do.
Yeah.
Just buy the Kevin Smith pop, and I think we're in business. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yep.
But
buy a Silent Bob pop.
Would you actually put your logo on the shirt instead of putting like a promotion logo?
It'd be a horror movie or a wrestling shirt because I tend to have a hard time wearing my own merch. I feel weird doing it.
Yeah, that's me at a wrestling show. Like,
that's probably why I don't sell t-shirts.
T-shirt. Yeah. And I want to wear the promotions t-shirt, but then after being at a promotion, I went to an Allentown, here's a story time with Joe. I went to a wrestling show. It was one of my first indie shows that I started when I went solo. I was like, I'm going to go to the show. My dad said, go. We can go to the show, buy a ticket. It was in Allentown. It was a benefit show. for John Rambo. And it was in Allentown, PA. It was at the fireman's building. I forgot the fireman something. Let's just say, Anthony, this roof is really low. And I get in the building and my dad goes, "Holy shit." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "I'm like, what?" "You'll see." So we get to there. I'm walking around the arena. The wrestlers are looking at me like, I'm wearing a suit jacket with my red glasses and my backwards baseball cap. And they're looking at me like, I'm like, Autumn Breeze was there. Autumn Breeze ran up to me and, hey, Joseph, because she's friends with me on Facebook. And I'm like, I walked over to the table, looked at what she had, and I was like, Autumn, call me Joe. And then I went, I said, "You're going to call me Joseph?" And I called her by her real name, and I was like, hit her with her real name. She was like, and her friends were like, "You going to let him do that?" Like, "No, he's friends with me on Facebook, so it's okay." I was like,
I refuse to learn wrestlers' real names.
I felt bad when she added me on Facebook. I did the little. I was like,
I honestly almost forget to always tag people and stuff on Facebook because I'm so conscious of not learning your real name that when they add me with their real shoot names on Facebook, I don't remember them. I'll be like, how do I tag this person or send them a message? And usually I'll have somebody else tell me their shoot name so I can send them a message because I just actively try not to remember it. I've been friends with people in this business for 6 years and I refuse to. I mean, I know their real names, but I won't call them up.
I just feel weird when I did that to her afterwards. I said, "Autumn, come here." She said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Come here." And I gave her a hug and I whispered in her ear, "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to call you your real name." And she's like, "I did the same thing to you. I'm sorry I called you Joseph." And I'm like, I don't know. I just felt horrible. I just put you on blast. And she's like, "You didn't put me on blast. You know my real name. I know your real name. No secrets here." And I was like, "Nope, no secrets here. You know who's calling the cops? You know who they're calling on, me or you." Real names here. Yeah. So Anthony, this was so much fun. If you have any upcoming interviews that you want to plug before we go, what is any episodes?
I got tons. I have 2 banging beers dropping this month. I have an interview with drag performer Scarcity. I have an interview with my buddy Harry Collins, who is a sound tech for a lot of big commercial bands and tours. He actually just announced recently he's going to be the sound technician for Boyce Avenue. He's going on tour with them. So that's pretty cool. So his interview will be dropping on the 25th. So there's always a new interview dropping on Mondays, all new 5 questions with ABJ on Fridays. And then every Tuesday we're live with Tornado Tag. And who knows, maybe we'll surprise you with some other stuff in between. So just leave your post notifications on and keep an eye on everything that drops, because you never know when a movie review is going to drop or what's going to happen on those Wednesdays and Thursdays. Support people. Just go out and support content creators. I'll also be at PPW on the 9th. So come and hang out with us on the 9th. I'll also be at New Era Pro Wrestling on the 16th. And I think that, and I'm hosting Harry Potter trivia at Black Diamond Bar and Grill in Frackville, Pennsylvania on the 15th, I think it is.
Holy frack.
Yeah, so come on out and hang out. Follow me on social media to see all my updates. Holy crack.
Holy frack. Holy frack.
Frack. Got you. Yeah.
Holy frack. Well, thank you, Anthony. If anybody wants to buy any ABJ merch, is there anywhere they can find it?
Yeah, my Linktree has everything. My Linktree has, I'm on Pro Wrestling Tees, I'm on Brainbusters, but mostly you can just go to my Teespring, because I think Teespring does the best quality. And I think I can set the prices and you actually get better deals. But there's always t-shirt deals going on TeePublic too. So I'm on both TeePublic and Teespring. So if you get any merchandise, I appreciate it. You don't have to. I don't sell a lot of t-shirts, but I have a lot of cool t-shirts. If you're a pop culture person or horror movie person, I feel, no disrespect to any content, but respectfully, I am the GOAT at podcast merch. No one's touching my logos. And that's because of Witchcraft by Lily and Hunter, who's a big part of my community as well. They made me some sick logos. My main logo, Haley Stokes. So I have really good artists and creative people who help me make cool stuff. And my t-shirt game is crazy. I have good stuff. So if you buy anything, send me photos of you in your t-shirt so I can shout you out on social media.
Awesome. Andy, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Before we go, if there is any kids that want to get where
F those kids.
you are in
Don't
the podcast world, oh geez,
quit.
they want to become a podcaster and they've been watching our content, like a lot of random content for wrestling or whatever. Like, what kind of advice would you have for them?
Be prepared to sacrifice. If you want to be a content creator and you want to grow and you want to get to the level of success that you probably are trying to achieve, whether it become very popular or famous, that doesn't happen when you don't put the work in. So you got to grind. I'm someone who hasn't gone to, family events. Some of my best friends had big moments in their life that I could not attend because I was on the road and I was traveling and I was working wrestling shows and I'm trying to get my name out there and I'm grinding. I didn't go to funerals. I haven't gone to friends' weddings. I sacrificed. I lost my life for a while. My house, my marriage, my dog, everything. I lost it all chasing this content thing. So if it's something you want, you got to. Thank you, Ziggy. You got to work for it. And if you don't really want to put the work in, then you can't cry when you're not getting your results. That's pretty much my advice. And that's not just content. That's anything in life. You want to be a pro wrestler. You want to be a musician. I talk to everybody. I've talked to people who are wrestlers for 6 months and quit. I've talked to people who've been at WrestleMania. I've talked to people who have toured the world in bands. And it's no secret. Everybody who worked for their success had to sacrifice. And if you're willing to do that, you're going to be fine.
Awesome. Anthony, thank you again for coming on the podcast. Thank you. And good luck on all your episodes. I'm so proud of what you're doing, dude. Just keep pumping, keep going. We know that there's someone watching us and someone loves us in this wrestling world, in this podcast world. I'm Joe Panther III.
I'm ABJ.
Sorry, I should have said. And we will catch you in the next one.